Cancer! Hi, it's your birthday month. Happy birthday. Welcome to Starchaeology Tarot. This is your birthday month tarot reading by me, Starchaeologist. I am Desi Domo. I don't know why I just said my entire full name, but there you go. I am so psyched to be delivering to you a message straight from Spirit today. I am only interested in a message that inspires you, encourages you, makes you feel stronger and more psyched and capable to take on the world. So that's what I'm gonna lay on you today. If you have any additional intentions or questions that you want to set or ask with this reading, please do that as I take time to tune in and shuffle. This reading is good for Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. I also encourage you to, I also, my brain stopped working for a minute. I also encourage you to check out those placements, those other placements for you, if you're curious about a specific aspect of your life. You know, we are very unique puzzles, and when it comes to astrology, it's great to look at our sun sign, but we don't really get the full picture of ourselves if we don't look at all of those other placements that make up the full puzzle of who we are. So check out another puzzle piece of yours if you'd like. Also, I encourage you guys to check out readings for loved ones. If you want to cross-watch and see what's happening with a loved one in July and how you can best support them / what it might mean for your relationship this month, feel free to cross-watch, watch their sun sign or their Venus or their moon or whatever it is. Whatever it is, do it, guys. You can do what you want. Within reason, and as long as you don't hurt anyone. Okay, I'm getting off track here. Let's get shuffling. Let's tune in. I'm gonna start this reading by first saying that I love you and thank you for being here. Let's go do this. Cancer, this is very appropriate for your birthday month. Cancer season is an emotional time, and this is a reading full of lots of feelings. I don't know if you guys saw that as I was shuffling, but these two flew out together. We had the King of Wands plus the Lovers card, which tells me quite a few things. I think this is actually setting the stage a bit for what this reading is really about, really what the entire reading is about. I think for some of you this has to do with your relationship, whether this is a mature relationship. I think for many of you it's either this mature long-term relationship that you've been in, or it could be the start of that relationship for you, perhaps the start of one of the most important relationships of your life, and really maybe the first mature love of your life. You're kind of like getting under control and taking authority of what you want, which either is this relationship or it's something within this relationship, something that you really want from this relationship that maybe you haven't been pursuing or going after or really taking, being a king about and taking control over and being like, I'm really going to succeed in this, because the king is like complete ultimate success. It's having full authority over something, and it being in Wands, this is a desire. It's like having full authority over your desires and going about getting them with a sense of order and purpose, like purposeful action. Also, Wands being a desire too, Wands are a suit of action. It's fire, so it's like, it's really also just going after, taking action optimistically too. Wands cards are full of optimism and light, because when we are truly aligned with what we authentically want, what is really like our soul's purpose and soul's desire, when we're really aligned and in that zone, fear doesn't even cross our minds. It's only when swords come into play, when we start overthinking it and judging ourselves and looking at the desire from like an outside perspective, that then fear creeps in and darkness creeps in. The desire itself and the pull itself and the will to live and you know, that life force energy that we feel is so pure. It is so pure of heart, and it's so light. It's when we're really connected to it, there's a fearlessness that goes along with it, and that's how you really can tell you're in the zone. You're like in that magical place of creation. Sorry guys, I need to pause this because this just said low battery. I'll be right back. Hi, I'm back. Sorry about that. So this is really setting the stage for this reading. So the thing about the lovers is in the very first line of the major arcana. It's like it's the conscious, it's the part of the conscious journey of the major arcana, and but it's one of the first cards where we have a hint of what is what lies below the surface. We have this very human urge, like the urge of sexuality, the urge of love, to be like when we're attracted to someone and we say, I want to be with that person. And that's a very human, earthly, physical sensation. But the beauty of it is that listening to it often gives us a glimpse of something much greater than ourselves. We see the man and the woman together, and then this angel appears over them. The angel only appears when these two are joined in union, and neither sees the angel or has access to the angel alone. It's a communion that happens in order to have this glimpse of something greater and of something deeper than the conscious. Deeper than the conscious journey. It's a dipping their toes into the subconscious and into the superconscious, into the spiritual. But with it, the reason why that happens is because there is a surrender of ego that happens with the lovers. And we kind of, in real love, we kind of step outside of ourselves. We can't help it. Ego often goes out the window naturally when we find ourselves in love or falling in love. It's like we do things that often look foolish to other people for that exact reason, because oftentimes it's a sacrifice of ego. It's a sacrifice of doing things that logically protect the ego, the self, the individual, in the name of love. And the beauty of it is, in that risk comes this greater reward, this angel. It's this thing that isn't bound by logic, by cause and effect in earthly terms and in any sort of earthly metric. But there is a letting go that happens there, and I feel, Cancer, for you, sorry, this is a very roundabout way to getting to what I think that this month is about for you. And let me sip my tea and delay it even more. Just kidding. This month really is about, for you, a kind of surrender of ego that is happening. There is a sort of micromanagement, I think, that you have fallen in, or a real need for control, there's something that you need, some sort of emotional fulfillment that you are searching for, and that also, I think, is represented by this Lover's card. It is because this doesn't necessarily have to even mean a relationship. This could just be feeling any sort of love so deeply, whether it's for another human being or whether it's for anything that you really, really want. You know, this Wands card, any big desire that you feel is propelling you, that love, whatever it is for, if it is authentic, if it is pure, then it is something that is very mature and sacred, and will and is leading you and pushing you along your path to the next thing that you need to grasp, the next lesson that you need to learn, the next experience that you have to have. And Cancer, this is interesting for you because you're normally truly are so, well, I think this is funny because you are very in touch with your emotions, and you are very, you know, you're an emotional being, but for whatever reason, you are so conscious of the need for emotional success in this way, like getting this emotional fulfillment under control, you know, being the king about it, like gaining authority over your heart, over the filling of your heart, the emotional fulfillment that you're after. It's like you are so conscious of it and so aware of it that you actually are approaching it in a very non-emotional way, unemotional way. You're almost like overthinking it. Like this is something that it's like, if I think my way through, if I think hard enough, I will figure out logically how to fulfill my heart in the way that I want to, how I can get this thing, how I can be successful in this great love that I feel, in this great attraction that I feel towards whomever or whatever it is you need, you feel that you want, that you know, your heart's desire. And so being so like emotionally aware and conscious, you know, it's kind of manifesting in a way, especially with with this king energy, which is also, you know, this is two kings here. It's like being very, very disciplined in how you go about getting it. It's like checking this box, and if I check enough boxes, my heart will open up. If I check enough boxes, I will have this sort of emotional enlightenment and fulfillment that I'm searching for. I will feel this unbridled joy, this fulfillment, this I think also it's a kind of gaining of an emotional intelligence that some of you are after. You're doing a lot of like soul searching and introspection and reflection, and you're being so disciplined, I think some of you, about therapy and about these introspective experiences, you know, turning to tarot like you're doing right now, or you know, going to other sorts of professionals or people, healers, or people who can help you in this emotional broadening and this self-expansion, but you're approaching it in a way that actually is so disciplined and structured that it kind of subverts the very nature of emotional work itself, which is fluid and flexible and boundless and limitless and shapeless. You know, it doesn't look the same for every single person. There is no pipeline. There is no perfect recipe, one size fits all recipe for like true emotional fulfillment, or true emotional understanding, or enlightenment, or joy. It's not a one size fits all or one recipe fits all situation. So by nature, approaching it in a very pragmatic, masculine, king-like way of I'm climbing the ranks of doing this is like it doesn't actually, it's not actually working like that. So while you want that success, you want that that emotional fulfillment, I also think some of you, like, this is you, this is who you want to be, the King of Cups. You want to be this person who just has a real grasp on their emotional well-being. You're like longing to be this, in this throne, in this seat, and be like, I am able to let my walls down, to be vulnerable, to have an open heart, but still be this powerful in it. You know, to not equate that with any sort of weakness, of being out of control in that element. It's like real emotional intelligence and vulnerability, and which just makes you like perfectly primed for like real human connection and love, as well as maybe like it makes you primed for just like bringing you closer to that thing that you love, to the object of your heart's desire. And what was I saying? This is, so I think like that is that king character of being so emotionally intelligent, so open-hearted, and free-flowing, but having it within, still under your control, in a way that you're like, I understand myself enough to know that what I'm feeling, or, you know, when my walls are down, it's a conscious choice. This is all, it's just, there's like a consciousness and an awareness there that makes you powerful in it, as opposed to being like a slave to your emotions, a victim of your own emotions, and being very much not in a position of authority over your own heart, over your own emotional well-being. And with vulnerability, like I think like being a king in vulnerability means simply just, even just owning vulnerability, because a lot of us, when we feel vulnerable, we then have so much judgment over feeling vulnerable, or we don't want people to see us when we feel vulnerable. And that is very much like not what this king energy is about. It's like the king still has vulnerable moments, but the king fully owns those vulnerable moments and is still somehow so powerful in those vulnerable moments, because the king is able to say, I am vulnerable now. I know exactly what is going on with me, and I'm not going to act from a misguided emotional place, but rather recognize, oh, I'm feeling this way and I want to do this because these are where my wounds are, or this is what makes me feel unsafe, this is what makes me feel vulnerable, and making a very conscious and wise choice in how this person processes that and acts on it. That is real authority over our hearts, over our emotional lives. So I think some of you, it's like, this is what you want, this is what you are after, you want to be this. I think others of you have met someone like this. You have met someone like this, which is a partner that you have wanted for a very, very long time. A perfect partner for this kind of mature love that you want as like this next stage of your journey and of your emotional and spiritual development. But again, the way that you are approaching this King of Cups is paired with the Knight of Swords. It's like the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Swords is so aggressive in the way they think through things, the way that they use logic and intellect to swiftly navigate them out of problems and further along on their adventure, further along on their quest. The knight is interested in winning. Knights are always interested in winning, which is why they are knights and not kings. They are still younger court cards because they feel the energy of the suit, but they're not skilled completely skilled in how they pursue that energy and success over that energy. And knight energy is can be very reckless and rash and, you know, focused on winning in a way that like causes us to miss certain things because we're like, well, I have to complete the quest, and that's kind of my tunnel vision I have right now. I have blinders on, you know, this is my duty. And the risk that the Knight of Swords runs is actually coming off sometimes as not compassionate, or being disconnected from their emotions, disconnected from their empathy too, because they're so focused and driven by thought and logic and intellect. And so to have these two things paired together, it's almost like you are attacking, like aggressively pursuing vulnerability in a very pragmatic, like logical way. And that's probably not working out for you because there's no surrender happening. It's a level of control, like a kind of mental control about your emotional well-being. Whether this king is you or this king is a partner or a potential partner, you know, you can't like approach this person or this potential version of yourself with this kind of night mental energy, because by definition it robs the relationship or you or the person of that kind of compassion that is crucial to be in a King of Cups position or to be with a King of Cups. So this night energy, this kind of aggressive, ambitious night energy is very much at odds with the energy of letting go and surrendering to success. Letting success find you and meet you halfway, and trusting that that is actually a part of emotional evolution and emotional healing, I think, for some of you. I think that's part of what this King of Cups thing is. It's not just understanding, it's not just emotional awareness, it's not just bringing you closer to your heart's desire, but there's real, with that, in all of those things, a crucial part of that is emotional healing. Understanding the ways our hearts have been hurt in order for those holes to be patched up so that they can hold they can really hold what it is that we want and what we long for, and they can hold joy and they can hold love without it seeping through the wound that has existed since childhood or whenever. Part of the quest for joy, for emotional fulfillment, is fully understanding our emotional wounds so that we can mend them, be gentle towards ourselves, and be fully aware and conscious of our emotional states, so that we can gain mastery over them, so that we can be this King of Cups, and have full awareness. Over, it's kind of like knowing your enemy very well, but I kind of hesitate to even use the word enemy when I say emotional wounds, because I don't see that as an enemy. I see that as a real helper, a real teacher, and I think any enemies are ultimately teachers for us. But even that, I think, is a shift in thinking that maybe some of you aren't there yet. And I think you can't attack those emotional wounds as if they're enemies. It won't ever work. The way that you process those wounds, the way that you make that opposition disappear, those obstacles melt, those enemies surrender, is by you surrendering to them, by you acknowledging and owning them, taking ownership of them. Again, King of Cups, this King of Cups is all about owning that vulnerability, of being an authority over all the parts of your heart, the dark and the light, and not trying to pretend the dark isn't there, but just actually making friends with the dark, understanding the dark better. That's what leads to that self-expansion and that real maturity, which leads to you getting your heart's desire, you being emotionally fulfilled, you experiencing that joy that we are all after. We all just want to be happy, right? And these are all moving parts to that. Another reason why I say that this is about a kind of relinquishing of control for you this month as you move along this emotional journey for you is because we have 2 Pentacles cards here, and it's the 4 and the 5 of Pentacles. This is about like holding on to something so tightly that it limits what you're able to receive moving forward. Because if you're holding on to something so tightly, you need an open hand to receive more blessings. And sometimes we cling very hard to the things that make us feel secure, because we are so afraid of losing them because of a scarcity mindset. And again, that is what this Five of Pentacles is all about. It is all about that scarcity mindset. It's approaching everything that we have really more from a place of, I'm afraid of this going away, rather than gratitude in the moment with no regard to the possibility of ever losing it. There is a real difference, and I think people sometimes confuse gratitude for that, of just being like, wow, we're really lucky right now because we could not have this. If you feel that and you feel the tinge of fear of not having it, that's not true pure gratitude. The pure gratitude is completely untainted by any darkness. It is not tainted by fear. It's really just that pure joy of having it, and of recognizing, sure, that you're lucky, but you're not afraid of losing it. So I think that whatever it is that you do have that does make you feel safe, that makes you feel, oh, I'm close to having my heart's desire, or I'm close to being this King of Cups, I'm close to really having this emotional intelligence and awareness that I want to, I'm close to emotional healing, I'm close to being happy. Whatever is making you feel close to that, your grip on that might be so tight that it's actually limiting you from having more than what you already have, or it's limiting you from actually having your heart's desire fully. And I think that could be rooted in a real scarcity mindset that you have. So the beauty of this card is that it's like these women are out in the cold. They are, you know, it's snowing. They're right outside a church. And a church, by definition, is not going to ask for anything in return. From these women for sheltering them or taking them in. It is a true definition of a sanctuary, and you have a sanctuary that is at your fingertips. It is right behind your back right now, and you can rest in that sanctuary and know that you will always be taken care of, or you can not. I mean, you can make your own journey harder for yourself by focusing more on the possibility that someday there won't be any sanctuaries. But right now, there are sanctuaries. There are sanctuaries. So don't attract what you don't attract to yourself what you're afraid of most by focusing so much on what you are afraid of most. Whoa, I'm talking too hard, you guys. Okay, which brings me to my final point. I think that some of you, with this kind of control that you have, with this kind of like ambition over going after what you want in a very logical way that is actually limiting the magic of letting like your emotional, creative selves unfold in an organic way, in a way that will surprise you, right? Because you can't control, you can't micromanage your transformation. You can't micromanage and control the ways that blessings come to you. There is an inherent magic in the way that happens, and also an inherent magic in the way that emotional healing happens and emotional growth happens. It's not linear and it's not measurable. And again, back to that recipe, it is not the same recipe for every single person. So if you treat it like it is, you'll be missing out because you are limiting yourself to the formula that actually is perfectly right for you, that the universe is waiting to guide you through, but you're resisting because you're like, oh, but this is the way that I'm supposed to go because that's how that person did it, or whatever. You know, like there is a perfect path, a perfect formula, a perfect unfolding that is meant for you, that Source wants to guide you through, and there's a surrender on your part that needs to happen to do that. And the beauty of it is surrendering to it leads you to a reward, your heart's desire that is far bigger, far deeper, far more fulfilling and joyful than anything you could have micromanaged yourself. So I think, that being said, what we need to talk about last here is why you are maybe controlling things, why you are trying to control things, what is that like overthinking muscle and tendency rooted in for you. And I think what it is rooted in really is the fear of making the wrong choice. It's the fear of, it's the belief that there is one way that is right and there is one way that is wrong. And if you choose the wrong way, you're not going to get your heart's desire. You are not going to ever be happy. You're never going to have that emotional fulfillment. You're never going to be that King of Cups and have that control, because you know, if you take the wrong step, it won't bring you to the throne. And you see other people in their thrones, you see other people who you think, and maybe mistakenly so, excuse me, that they're like, they have their shit together. They're like, they are kings of cups already, you know. They really are strong in their vulnerability. They understand their weaknesses or their wounds, you know, the enemy. They understand the dark parts of their heart, and you see them and you think, oh, this is how they did it again. So how they did it must be right, and any other way is wrong, and I'm afraid of making the wrong step. This Two of Pentacles is paired with the World card, and the world is all about harmony. The world is about harmonizing dualities and holding space for the dualities of life. Because life is full of duality, which means that there is no right or wrong. And I don't mean that in that, like, well, if I get into this is going to be an hour-long video. But there is right and wrong for everyone. What I mean by there is no right or wrong is that there are steps that, even if you look back on and you say, oh, I'm evolved now to a place where I wouldn't do that again. Or let's say you hurt someone, or you did something that was unequivocally bad or wrong. Doing it, having done it, does not make it wrong, especially if you learn from it. Then if you learn from it, it was right, because you would not have learned from it. You would not have learned what was right without doing what was wrong, which I think makes it right. I hope that makes sense. That's how our world evolves and grows. That is how we change this world step by step to one of love and understanding and empathy. And the beauty of it is we don't experience that. We don't really get that and grasp those lessons without experiencing the darkness first, because we can't fully understand what is light, what is right, what is good, without understanding what is wrong, what is dark, what is bad. And that's what I mean about holding space for duality. There can be truths that seem opposite, that are both, or things that seem binary. You know, it must be this way, it must be one way or the other, it can't be both. And that's just not true. And I think the more you live, the more you are realizing this, that life is so full of these dualities, and that it is never so black and white as what is right and what is wrong, what is the right step for me and what is the wrong step for me. The month is ending for you in this way, where you realize that the choice is never for you between what is right or wrong. What is the right step that is going to bring you to the lovers, you know, to this mature state of fulfillment, of happiness, of glimpsing God, of a heart fulfilled, of real joy and fulfillment. There's not just one right step to get there. Every step, you have choices. You have a ton of choices. But all of those choices are right. Even the wrong ones. Even the wrong ones will deliver you maybe even faster to where it is you want to go, because it's from the wrong ones that we learn more quickly. So there's just some sort of integration that is happening with you, Cancer, where you're realizing here that by surrendering your control, by letting go a little bit, by not making this putting so much pressure on yourself to negotiate correctly, to make the right decisions, to weigh these options, and you got to pick one or the other, and that's how it works. It's not that black and white for you. There is a way for you to pick neither of these things. There is a way for you to pick both of them. There is a way for you to pick 10 things at once. You can also pick one and then change your mind and choose another one. Regardless, you're realizing that there's a real growth that is happening for you, where you're realizing that you're wasting time worrying about the decision-making process. And that is not serving you. That focus is misguided. It is misplaced. You will move more quickly towards completion, towards, you know, real growth and success, which is what the World card is all about. It's like everything coming full circle, this karmic lesson being learned for you. Everything suddenly making sense, and you being in this place of just dancing. Like everything is completed for you. You can now dance through the world. You don't just have to like live through it. And you get there sooner by accepting the duality of the world and not focusing so much about the pressure of making the decision, but instead just making the decision and seeing what it has to teach you, so that then you can make the next one. I hope that makes sense, Cancer, and I hope this maybe lets you take a step back and surrender, you know, let go of your of the wheel. Let go of the wheel for a little bit and see where the journey drives you, not where you're driving the journey. Because that is where the real kind of deeper happiness that you're looking for, beyond the small happinesses that the world can make you feel, you know, getting a new job or getting that cash or having a relationship, whatever it is. Like, there is a real deep happiness and fulfillment that comes from nothing outside of yourself. And that is where real lessons in the subconscious realm, in the superconscious realm, begin to unfold for you. And it's that kind of fulfillment, that kind of happiness and joy that is untouchable and unshakable by the circumstances, by the superficial circumstances of this video game that we're living in. Letting those lessons come to you and finding your way through the magic of those lessons and of those blessings and gifts is something you can't really find. You can't find yourself in those positions by driving the adventure yourself, or by thinking your way through it, or logically pushing your way through it, figuring it out. There isn't figuring it out when it comes to really deep hard work. Enlightenment and revelation comes as a reward of you wandering through that hard work, not you you know, creating the lesson plan yourself. You can't create the lesson plan of these most important deep lessons. When the lessons get this deep and this important, the lesson plan needs to be designed by something, a force much, much greater than just you. So it's better if you let go and stop trying to control it yourself. I hope that makes sense. I hope this was valuable for you. Happy birthday. This is what a birthday month to be experiencing what you're experiencing here. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Share it with people, anyone who might like it. I will be so grateful for that. And again, thank you so much for supporting this channel. It means so, so much to me, Cancer. It is an honor and a privilege, truly, to get to do this. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you want to tell me what specifically is happening in your life right now. It makes me really, really happy to hear the details of how this reading manifests for you. On that note, I love you, and goodbye.